Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So today we are group 2 from 6B class. We'd like to present about our material, which is about phenomenology, especially in qualitative research. So, uh, without we go to, I mean, before we go to the material, let us to introduce ourselves. My name is Gusti Ayoyaka Susanti Dewi, and other group members are Gede Hermawan Adi Prayoga, and then Angger Bagus Utama, Wikanta Basmanara, and the last one is Ikade Dedi Arjana. So, there are several parts of phenomenological research that will be discussed in this nice occasion. There are definition and then the characteristic of the phenomenology and the approach and then kinds of data. And the last one is subject of research. So we move to the first one is definition. So what is phenomenological research based on the experts? There are actually many definition from many perspective of the experts, but we already choose for, three experts that state for perspective. The first one is from Kutosi 2018. He said that phenomenology is a theoretical guidance to understand a phenomenon at subjective reality level. And this means actually a guidance for us to understand about the humans' subjective perspective about a phenomena. And the second one is from Lester, 1999. He said that phenomenology is an experience from the individual perspective and can be from grouping assumption, which is it is the ways of understanding some things is the focus of the phenomenology. And the third definition comes from Ari 2010. He said that phenomenological studies start from a reality that is from people's perspective and becomes an assumption. So people's perspective can be an assumption that takes from their reality, their experience actually. And the last one comes from Kutosi again, 2018. That said about phenomenology is actually a methodological space for studying human phenomena at a deeper level as awareness to understand life experiences. So phenomenology is basically um, a way to understand about phenomena from humans' experiences. I think that is about the definition of phenomenology. Uh, we will continue to the characteristics that will be presented by Yoga. Yoga, please.
Thank you, Gasanti, for the chance. Now I would like to tell you about what is the characteristic of phenomenology research, phenomenological research. So actually, there are four characteristics based on Georgie and Georgie 2003, such as first is description, reduction, essence, and last is intentionality. So first is description. So actually, description is telling the phenomena uh, from the what is that from the subject. So because the phenomenological research is based on the experience of the subject about human being experience, so it tends to explain about describing about that. Uh, we want to know about what is the feeling, what is the thought, is it happy or not, because it is experience. I give you the example. Imagine you have, you are a parent that have a kids that, that is disabled. For example, like has autism. So we as a researchers want to know what is feel like, what it feels like, to having a child or a kids that has that disabled problem. Okay, so from that we can describe about the feeling, the happy, maybe not happiness, but maybe the sadness, the struggle that they face. So that's why the supposition becomes unnecessary, because it is based on the experience from the subject, not only the assumption from the research. So next is reduction. So this characteristics is overlooks the bias. What is the bias? The bias is like the prejudice. So we tend to pick a side to to one side, or even to to another subject. Yeah, for example, like I want to know about the experience of a certain point in the what's that? The people in the village, uh, and then the subject is biased, biased. They just make another subjective argument that make another village is not good or bad. So that is we tend to overlook that. We want to remove all of that. So we from that bias is we tend to afraid that all of that bias will ruin our observation, our research. So, like Laurer in 1958 stated, so to pure subjectivity, to keep the subjectivity is as pure as possible. I mean, okay, subjectivity is subjective, it's not objective, but we want to make sure that there is no bias, there is no pick a side or something else. And next is essence. So essence is the core of the phenomena. So we tend to know what is the point of this phenomena. Is it related to another phenomena, or it is related? I mean, the experience is related to another experience or people experience. So we tend to know what is the core first before we move to another experience, or we tend to compare it to another things. So the last one is intentionality. So intentional. So we when we do intentional thing, we tend to conscious do something. So on this um, characteristic, so actually based on both theory, which is noesis and noema, which is used to express these characteristics. So neoma is an objective statement of behavior or experience as a reality, whether noesis is subjective reflection or consciousness of the objective statement. So I think that's all about the characteristics. So next, about kinds of data will be explained by Vikanta.
Okay, thank you, Yoga. So the next is kinds of data. There are two kinds of data in phenomenological research, according to Ari et al. There are primary data and secondary data. So why it is called as primary data? It is because the data is taken from the research that is conducted by the researcher itself. So basically, phenomenological research is about human experience. So the data is taken from experience that is ever feel or see by the people. The data also can be taken from the researcher's experience itself. The example of the data can be taken from some phenomena such as LGBT, rainbow, solar eclipse, etc. And next is secondary data. Secondary data is opposite with primary data. The data is collected from the previous research that is conducted by other researchers. For example, the other researcher data about solar eclipse or can be taken from BPS or Badan Pusat Statistik. So that's all about kinds of data. The next presentation will be continued by my friend Dedi. So Dedi, time is yours. Sorry, I mean the presentation will be continued by Bagus. So Bagus, time is yours.
Okay, don't worry. Thank you so much. So this is my turn. And yes, there are four main focuses in phenomenological approach. So, but first thing first, in phenomenological approach, it is all about studying human experience. So, like anything that has been experienced by an individual or a group of people could be researched using phenomenological approach. And then a phenomenological approach could focus on like describing participants' experience and then describing participants' perspective of their experience and then interpreting participant experience and then interpreting participants' understanding of their experience. And then the first is TPA or transcendental phenomenological approach. So as you can see, TPA is a part of a philosophical phenomenological approach to qualitative approach, research on human behavior based on experience. So it can be said that it is describe
At the end of the day,
it is describing
phenomenological research
participants'
is a combination
experience,
of the
like depicting the
experience for
core
subject and also for
experience.
researcher.
And then the main
And
characteristic is
in the analytical
seeking
therapy,
for the core
we
features
we
of
take it
participants'
uh,
experience. Then the next is existential phenomenological approach or EPA. So as you can see, the EPA discuss about explaining their point of view from the experience that they had. So it is
this is
like
fact.
describing participants' perspective of their experience. And then next is HPA or hermeneutic phenomenological approach. So HPA discusses the description of participants' experiences. So yeah, it is like interpreting participants' experience. So like examining participants' experience with the purpose of gaining understanding and presenting the interpretation. And the next is IPA. The IPA is interpretative phenomenological analysis. So IPA discusses the meaning of the participants' understanding of their experiences. So it can be said that it is about interpreting participants' understanding of their experience, like examining participants' interpretation of their experience with the purpose of gaining understanding and presenting the interpretation. So yeah, that's all about the four main focus on phenomenological approach. So the next will be explained by Dedi Arjana. So Dedi, please.
So, okay, thank you for the chance that give to me. So, I will continue our presentation. So, I will explain about subject of research. So, like what my friend say about phenomenological is a research about human experience. So, of course, the subject is human, but not all human can be subject of research. So, Kusus no uh, explain in 2005 about the characteristic of informant in phenomenology research, such as there are five characteristics. Number one is informant must experience first-hand situation or even relate to the research topic. The goal is to get the description from a first-person perspective. And number two, informants are able to describe the phenomenon they have experienced again, especially in terms of their nature and meaning. Number three, the result will be obtained by natural and reflective data describing the real situation. So in here, the informant must tell their experience uh, as natural as possible. And number four is willing to be interviewed and record activity during the interview of during the research. And the last is give approval to publish research result. So that's all about subject of research. So I will keep back to my friend. So Yoga, your turn.
All right, thank you, Daddy, for the explanation of the subject of research. So now we want to end this presentation by giving our conclusion of this method, phenomenological research method. So, so at the end of the day, we know that this method is the combination from the experience from the subject and also, um, you know, the researchers' theoretical standpoint to elaborate all of that experience. So, um, of course, the purpose is to knowing, you know, the certain phenomena deeply, so they can use this method to knowing all of that phenomena that they want to know, um, and also they can use all of these research, all of these research of the research to be contributed in the knowledge, in the prior knowledge. So I think that's all about our presentation, phenomenological research. Thank you very much for watching. We do apologize if we make a lot of mistakes. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next occasion. Thank you.